Earl Nightingale.
In order to get other people to love us, we must first become loving persons. We must give love before we can receive it. It goes back to what we learned as children in Sunday school. As ye sow, so shall ye reap. Have you noticed that it's the friendly person who has all the friends? He or she is a warm, smiling, outgoing person. He or she does things for other people. The friendly person is a thoughtful person and is genuinely interested in other people and how well they're doing. The friendly person is more interested in other people's well-being than his or her own. A loving person is loved by the people that person knows. When you find the person whom you believe could be very special in your life, make it a point to get to know that person. If you're rejected, well, it's too bad, but at least you gave it your best shot, and chances are you won't be rejected. It's this simple. We get back what we put out. If we're friendly people, we'll have lots of friends, and we won't have too much difficulty in eventually finding the person we want to spend the rest of our lives with. It's important, I think, not to get in a big hurry where that one very important person is concerned. Here's a good place to take our time. A lifetime is a long time, and finding the person who's just right for you isn't always a simple matter. When you do find that person, you'll know it's the right person. Keep in mind that when you fall in love and want to get married, it's a lifetime contract for you too. For the rest of your life, your job will be to serve that person, to think of that person first in everything you do that involves both of you. Believe me, that's commitment. It's a wonderful, joyous commitment when it's right, and it gets better with the passing years. I know that's the case with my wife, Diana, and me. Here's the way to make sure it's right for you both. Before you marry, give it the test of time. If it's right, it will get better with the passing months. It will get stronger, and you'll both be sure it's right for both of you. Go together for a year, and if at the end of that time you're both adults and still sure, then you know you've been wise and mature about it. If you can both say, yes, I want to spend the rest of my life with this person, serving this person, helping this person whenever I can, then you're qualified for the number one happiness factor. You've got love fulfilled, and you're one of the world's most fortunate people. Okay, you've found the person you want to marry and spend the rest of your life with. Next question, how do I qualify for marriage? That is, from the standpoint of education, what can I bring to this marriage that will help guarantee its success? Today we live in a world where both marriage partners usually work, and will continue to work for 40 years. That's a long time in the human lifespan. So each of the marriage partners must ask the question, am I educationally prepared to provide a good income now and an escalating income in the future? It's another way of asking just how qualified am I to take on the responsibilities of marriage? Do I need more education? Would we be smart to wait a while longer before we take the big jump into that sea of matrimony? Am I educationally qualified to take on the responsibilities of parenthood, to set a good example for growing, learning children? Tough questions, but very important questions. If the relationship is solid, sound, it can be put on hold until educational requirements are properly met. In this way, neither of us will have the additional financial burden of marriage until we can afford it. After all, we plan to be married for 50 years or so. Well, let's be smart and hold off on marriage until we're ready for it. Then it will be just that much better. And after we're married, perhaps we'll want to enjoy just the two of us for a few years before thinking about having children. A child, innocent though it is, will dominate a marriage like a fat man in a telephone booth. The child becomes the ruler of the household, and all decisions must depend upon the child's well-being. Sure. Suddenly running off to see a good movie or going out to dinner or taking a weekend trip are things of the past. The child is suddenly in first place and will remain there for years to come. And until you're ready for that kind of dominance, it's a good idea to wait and get to know one another. Enjoy yourselves in the freedom of just the two of you for a while. It's a wonderful time of life. And if the success of the marriage remains your first consideration, it will grow to be even better, stronger, and wonderfully more satisfying. People in good marriages are amazed that they come to love one another even more than they did in the beginning. Love grows into respect and admiration, and one of the world's best ideas is a big success. Nothing is as good for us as a good marriage. It's the best part of our lives. And that's exactly why we should be so careful during the selection process. As young people, we may fall in love many times, love being nothing more than a wonderful infatuation of the moment. To know whether it's real or not, give it the test of time. If it's real, it'll only get better. If it's not, you both will soon begin to be aware of the flaws in it. All of this is perfectly natural and a normal part of growing up. When people speak of their marriage partner, they will often use the expression, "my better half." It's an especially apt expression. The person who is right for us does form a half of the whole relationship, which is the marriage. And in a good marriage, each of the partners complements the other person in very important ways. There's a word to describe this effect. It's synergistic. The noun is synergism, and the definition of the word is the interaction of elements that, when combined, produce a total effect that is greater than the sum of the individual elements. Which is to say that a good marriage produces a better effect, a happier, more productive effect as a marriage than the sum of the two elements of which it's composed. It makes us better than we would be alone.